It's October the 29th, 2025. Welcome back to the Two Witnesses Live. I'm your host, Watchful, and it's that time once again for your daily Torment Report, where we go through the two men who seem to be the two witnesses, talked about in the book of Revelation and Zechariah, who are tormenting the world the most. So far, it seems like it's Donald Trump and Elon Musk who are providing no end in sight of content for this channel. Every day they say something that is both true and amazing and do things that are absolutely true and amazing. Welcome back to the show, guys. How you guys doing? Alrighty, let's jump right into this. I haven't even looked at the social feeds today, so if you haven't looked at them today either, we're going to be exploring these together for the first time. Hopefully it's exciting. Let's get into this. Microphone's too low. All right. Donald J. Trump. We'll start at the top. Why not? Truth Social. So what is this? Let's see. An honor. Millions of lives saved. Thank you. Let's see if I can pull these up. Can't really go to these. Let me pull these up over in the other browser. Truth Social. Our boy Donald. Oh, okay. So this is... Oh, that's weird. It just pasted on a whole other browser. I didn't want to do that. Delete layer. Yeah, I wanted to post the URL. There you go. All right, cool. So South Korea has agreed to pay the USA $350 billion for a lowering of the tariffs charged against them by the United States. Additionally, they have agreed to buy our oil and gas in vast quantities and investments into our country by wealthy South Korean companies and businessmen will exceed $600 billion. Our military alliance is stronger than ever before, and based on that, I have given them approval to build a nuclear-powered submarine. Ooh, exciting. Rather than the old-fashioned and far less nimble diesel-powered submarines that they have now. A great trip with a great president of South Korea. That's pretty cool. President Trump, the president of peace. Trump has ended 8 wars, Israel and Hamas. There you go. Pretty cool. Let's see now if we can get back to where we were before. Yeah. There you go. All right. Another post. Angela. I don't know. I don't understand why this browser won't allow me. Here, let's just do this. Let's go over. Can you see that page? There you go. That's a little bit better. We can navigate on this one. All right. Duped. Really? Technical difficulties today. Cool. There we go. All right, can you see that? Yeah, I don't know what's going on with my browser, but the streaming software, it's got a built-in browser. It's really limited. So now we're just looking at a screen over here. Alrighty, so I think these, let's see, those are the same posts. This one is new. What's this one? Same South Korea one. Just a picture of him. America is back, baby. Okay. Hmm. All right. He just reposted a bunch of other people's posts, I guess. What's this one? Get ready for the golden age, the greatest president of all time. Oh, wait. Best is yet to come. We got exactly what we have voted for. Okay. Why does it keep going back to this main page? I don't understand Truth Social sometimes. All right, maybe we just won't go into all of his reposts. Jeez. Making life complicated, dude. All right. Is that an ad? No, that is replying to real Donald Trump. Hang on. Now I got to fix my browser in the window. There we go. All right, we're just going to stick with this one. We're just not going to navigate into his reposts, I guess, because they just seem to be a bunch of images of him, I guess, memeing for the day. Embrace tariffs, abolish something. Really? Really, dude? All right, here's something interesting. Let's see. South Korea will be building its nuclear-powered submarine in the Philadelphia shipyards right here in the good old USA. Shipbuilding in our country will soon be making a big comeback. Stay tuned. That's great. That's really good. I actually remember when they were moving the shipbuilding to other countries and what a big deal it was. So it's nice to see that it's coming back. Okay, this is the post we already read. We just won the war on the climate change hoax. Bill Gates has finally admitted that he was completely wrong on the issue. It took courage to do so, and for that, we are all grateful. Make America great again. Okay, good. So, I guess the war on climate change is over. All righty. Let's see. Virginia and New Jersey. Vote Republican if you want massive energy costs and crime reductions. The Democrats will double and even triple your energy costs and crime will be rampant. A vote for Democrat is a death wish. Vote for Republican. Man, them some strong words right there, dude. Them some fighting words. Very much looking forward to my meeting President Xi of China. It will take place in a few hours. Ooh, that's today. That's interesting. That's going to affect, man, I have so many friends who have businesses based on products that they get from China, and a lot of them are very concerned. Which I don't know what I think about this because their businesses are based on taking advantage of, in my opinion, probably slave labor. Because the reason why things are so cheap is we consume products. They're made cheap because people are forced to make them. At least that's my understanding. I would love to be proven wrong about that. I would love to find out that no, their economy is entirely different and their work, all of their needs are taken care of. They're not slaves. But from, and it's not like I've done deep research on this, but just from what I've seen with these factories and the factory conditions and the way they have to put suicide nets around the factories because people just they lose hope and don't want to do that work anymore. It's like, I have mixed feelings about the businesses that people build based on those. So part of me wants to see those stop because I want to see those people freed from slavery, freed from bondage. If there's no demand for the product that they're building, I don't know what would happen to them. Maybe it's the only thing keeping them alive. Um, but I have more than one friend, multiple, who have businesses that are based on reselling products from China, and their concern is not being able to get those products for cheap because of the tariffs. So I have mixed feelings about that. Part of me is just like, good. Raise the tariffs, put a stop to this mistreatment of human beings and force change. But at the same time, it's also going to cause dramatic change in the United States. So I don't know what my expectations are from the negotiations with President Xi of China. Uh, do we want more of the same? Do we want things to stay the same? What is the impact? And, what does that mean for the people that are in the situation over there and the other countries as well? It would be my hope that everybody be freed from their bondage. So I don't know, but it's interesting. It'll be interesting to follow and see what happens from the negotiations. I know a lot of people are very concerned because, uh, they're already beginning to see, and it's not just China. Some people are already starting to see the effects of tariffs in both good ways and bad ways. So it is definitely a disruptive time. But I am reminded of what we read yesterday about Daniel, to where this is a transitional period. These next years are a transitional period, regardless. Um, my biggest, I'm expecting to go through tribulation, as I'm sure you are as well. Speaking of tribulation, you've guys heard about the snap apocalypse that everybody's talking about? I'm hoping that Donald Trump addresses it in his posts here. I've heard that he's going to break into some emergency funds so that it doesn't become a snap apocalypse, but it sure has raised some very interesting scenarios from people who are speculating based on like the TikToks and videos that people are making in regards to what they're going to do if they don't get their SNAP benefits. Another industry that needs to be disrupted and torn down and fixed. So yeah, bunch of stuff going on right now. It's going to be interesting. All right, MAGA, never forget, or it will happen again. That's right. Former FBI agent Walter Giardina is a dirty cop. He should be, along with deranged Jack Smith, the sinister team of Lisa Monaco and Andrew Weissmann Little, Jay Bratt, Norm Eisen, and his fake charity crew Christopher Ray, Merrick Garland, Thomas Wyndham, who dreamt up the corrupt J6 witch hunt, should be investigated immediately. Jesus, that's a long run sentence, dude. They are a disgrace to our nation. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Yep. Burn them down. Bring the justice. Okay, while that plays, I'm going to try and catch up on comments.
Great honor to be here. But I'm thrilled to be here among thousands of proud American patriots. The cherished alliance between the United States and Japan is one of the most remarkable relationships in the entire world. As Commander-in-Chief, I never forget that our ultimate strength does not come from equipment. It comes from the men and women of the rank and file. No enemy will ever even dream of threatening America's Navy. There's no Navy even closer. Nobody can do what we do. Nobody has what we have. For 2.5 centuries, America's Navy has preserved the vision of our first Commander-in-Chief, who gave the ship its storied name, its righteous soul, and its timeless motto: first in war, first in peace.
His videos keep getting my channel demonetized. Not that I'm monetizing the channel, but I keep getting the messages from YouTube saying you can't monetize this video because you've used copyrighted music, and it's because it keeps using copyrighted music in these videos. Oh well. Who cares? Yeah. Yep. All right. The more people learn about Mamdani, the less they like him. I am my eyes are definitely paying attention to Mamdani, especially, when we were reading Daniel yesterday, and sorry I didn't get the clip posted. I was editing that video throughout the day. It's longer than the typical clips, and I'm trying to decide if I want to shorten it down or just release the full, it's about an hour long reading of Daniel 7. But after reading that and reading about the little horn, I got to thinking about different scenarios for what that could look like logistically. And it's interesting. Zoran Momdani could potentially fit something like that. So if you imagine he wins the mayoral race, and he is blaspheming against God and blaspheming against his people, and he's speaking great things, and he continues to do that throughout the next years, to where he starts to get into more and more powerful positions. Different scenarios that could be uprooting three horns could be, so this was one. It's probably not likely, but I was just trying to imagine what would it look like for somebody who's considered a little horn. So horn is indicative of power and authority, likewise a crown. But a horn, you have a horn on an animal. That's what they use to get what they want. They use it to bash against other animals. It's a position of strength, of power. So if you've got a little horn, it's indicative that it's coming up. It's new. It's not as old and mature as the other horns. But it's uprooting three horns. And I was thinking, what would that look like? So starting with just the United States, I thought, what would happen? And I don't know if this is even a possibility, but what would happen if, like, he were to become the Speaker of the House, or in one of those positions? I can't remember. I think it's the Speaker of the House, but one of them is like third in line in the event that something happens to the president, the vice president, and the Speaker in the House. What if he were to become like Speaker of the House, and then something were to happen to the vice president, and then like he moved up through the line that way, going through each line to where he became like president, vice president, and Speaker of the House. Usurping three horns. Just playing with ideas in my head. What do you guys think? Have you guys thought of anything like that in regards to what it would look like? I know most people are thinking that this is the Antichrist, and that this is going to be somebody like King Charles. But King Charles he's an old horn. He's an old, big horn. There's nothing little about him. Or I would even argue not even about like Charles. Or not Charles, his children. Is it Prince Charles? King Charles. King Charles and his son. I guess it could be the son. But which three horns would he uh, uproot, displaced by their roots? Because I don't think that those words were used half-heartedly. The indication that it sounds like it's destroying three offices, maybe combining them into one. And it seems like it has to do with a transition from one government kind of system to another. So we would have something like, I don't know, maybe somebody in the G7 who would take over control of that and have operational control over multiple countries, giving them a global kingdom. Rome is an attractive possibility. Anyway, kind of going off on a rant. But yeah, the more people learn about Mamdani, the less they like him. But he seems to me like, if I'm looking for somebody to fit the pattern of a little horn, somebody who's going to blaspheme God, I have my eyes on Mamdani right now. I don't know about you guys. Hopefully this will all end in 3 years maybe? I'm hoping. Yeah. Yeah. Fury, it sounds like maybe you're suffering some tribulation. Yeah. Hmm. Yep. Let's see. President Trump opens Asia trip by securing landmark wins for America. President Trump, Dreammaker in chief. Okay. President Donald J. Trump brings home more billion-dollar deals during state visit to Republic of Korea. ROK-US Summit, October 29th, 2025. President Trump secures billions in landmark deals while visiting Republic of Korea. Man, who knew you could make money other than taking it from the people who you govern? Thank you, USS George Washington. What is this? Youch.
And God bless our Japan. God bless U.S. forces, Japan. God bless our military. God bless Japan. God bless the United States of America. And God bless our Navy. Thank you, everybody.
Sometimes you think of China's ruler at some point. China's come up in my mind many times before, because especially when you are reading in like Revelation 17, when it talks about the harlot riding the scarlet beast, there's a lot of imagery there that seems to associate with China. Yep. And like I was talking about earlier with the slave labor in order to flood the world with their with their product, does that have something to do with the world becoming drunk on the wine of the beast of the harlot?
Ladies and gentlemen, the 45th and 47th President of the United States, Donald J. Trump.
That's it? Really? Let's see.
The Republic of Korea is a cherished American friend and a close ally. And as we can see in this beautiful city, it's truly one of the most remarkable nations anywhere on earth. Here in this peninsula, the people of South Korea have forged a miracle of economic development like you rarely see, an industrial and technological powerhouse, and above all, a free society and enduring democracy and a thriving civilization. And I want to congratulate you. Very few places like it. The entire world should be inspired by all that you have achieved, and they study you and they do so much to understand what you've done, but most of them don't get it. And that's probably good for you. Keep it this way.
Great honor. Thank you.
To honor your achievements in paving the way toward peace on the Korean Peninsula 6 years ago, and in anticipation of the peace and prosperity you will bring to the Korean Peninsula, we present you this medal with our deepest appreciation.
Thank you very much. Wow. It's as beautiful as it can possibly be. I'll always cherish it. Very special.
대한민국 국민들이 우리 대통령님께 특별한 감사의 마음을 담아서 드리는 것입니다.
The people of Korea are awarding you with this medal with their deep appreciation.
Thank you very much. It's a great honor. We're going to keep it very good. Korea is very, very special. We have a very great relationship, and it will continue and only get stronger. Thank you very much.
대단히 감사합니다. 성중히 간직하겠습니다. 한국과 미국은 아주 강력한 동맹관계이고 앞으로도 이것을 통해서 더욱더 아주 굳건한 동맹관계가 지속될 것으로 생각합니다.
That is really beautiful. I'd like to wear it right now.
Wow.
Thank you so much. We'll cherish it. Thank you very much, everybody. Appreciate it.
That's pretty cool. Like some pretty legit jewelry there or something. Huh. I can't pronounce that. Gyeongju National Museum. Nothing really there.
When America thrives, our partners thrive, and Our alliances thrive with all of the countries. The Indo-Pacific thrives, and that's good for all of us. And the entire world becomes safer and wealthy and greater than ever before. We get along with a lot of countries. We solved a lot of wars and a lot of problems, and that's all good for all of us. The extraordinary American turnaround that I've just described has been achieved not by just continuing business as usual back in Washington.
Republic of Korea is a cherished American friend. Every time I read these, it turns out he says
The Republic of Korea is a cherished American friend and a close ally. And as we can see in this beautiful city, it's truly one of the most remarkable nations anywhere on earth. Here in this peninsula, the people of South Korea have forged a miracle of economic development like you rarely see, an industrial and technological powerhouse, and above all, a free society and enduring democracy and a thriving civilization. And I want to congratulate you. It's very few places like it. The entire world should be inspired by all that you have achieved, and they study you, and they do so much to understand what you've done, but most of them don't get it. And that's probably good for you. Keep it this way.
All right. Let's see. These thugs should be investigated and put in prison. A disgrace to humanity. Deranged Jack Smith is a criminal. More than 160 Republicans potentially investigated in FBI's Arctic frost probe, House panel says. The size and scope of the Biden-era Arctic frost investigation continues to be revealed to be larger than known as more internal DOJ and FBI records are released. Interesting. Bringing back trillions of dollars to the USA, a great trip, dealing with very smart, talented, and wonderful leaders. Tomorrow, President Xi of China. It will be a great meeting for both. Ooh, let's see. Secretary of War. Yesterday, at the direction of President Trump, the Department of War carried out 3 lethal kinetic strikes on 4 vessels operated by designated terrorist organization trafficking narcotics in the Eastern Pacific. You'd think they'd learn to stop using the boats. The 4 vessels were known by our intelligence apparatus transiting along known narco-trafficking routes and carrying narcotics. Say bye-bye. I'm eager to get to the chat here. I think we're almost done with Trump's posts. Alrighty, let's see. These people are nothing but a club of liars. They meant nothing. Let's see. They meant nothing of what they were saying other than to make us believe they were concerned. Trump proved to us the border could have been closed in days. It was easy. None of these liars wanted to close the border. The bastards. I honestly don't know why anyone would trust any of them ever again. I don't. Yeah. They all agreed until Trump said it.
There's a legal way to do it, so you don't have to sneak across in the first place.
Right.
We do not think the comprehensive health care benefits should be extended to those who are undocumented workers and illegal aliens. We do not want to do anything to encourage more illegal immigration into this country. We know now that too many people come in for medical care as it is. We certainly don't want them having the same benefits that American citizens are entitled to have.
Every place in this country are rightly disturbed by the large numbers of illegal aliens entering our country. The jobs they hold might otherwise be held by citizens or legal immigrants. The public service they use impose burdens on our taxpayers. That's why our administration has moved aggressively to secure our borders more, by hiring a record number of new border guards, by deporting twice as many criminal aliens as ever before, by cracking down on illegal hiring, by barring welfare benefits to illegal aliens.
Even as we are a nation of immigrants, we're also a nation of laws.
The deporter-in-chief.
Undocumented workers broke our immigration laws, and I believe that they must be held accountable, especially those who may be dangerous. That's why over the past 6 years, deportations of criminals are up 80%. And that's why we're going to keep focusing enforcement resources on actual threats to our security. Felons.
A lot of people forget that Obama deported more people than any previous presidents. I don't know, Trump might be catching up, but his nickname was the deporter in chief. They don't point that out when they're criticizing Trump for doing it. Is this a double post? It looks like a double post. All right.
I know that you are increasing your military capacity very substantially, and we've received your orders for a very large amount of new military equipment, and you know that we make the best military equipment in the world, the jets, the missiles, and everything else, and hopefully we don't have to use them very much, if at all. But we appreciate that order, and we very much appreciate the trade. We're going to do tremendous trade together, I think more than ever before. We're just signing a new deal, and it's a very fair deal, and we look forward to welcoming Japan into the United States and a continuation, and it's something that everybody is very, very excited about.
Weird echo on that. I think this is where we left off. Yeah. Yep. Alrighty. So I see you guys are talking about the little horn. So who'd you decide it is? I don't know. I'm thinking probably somebody. Let's see. If I'm remembering correctly, it seems like there's another vision in Daniel that indicates it's probably somebody from Turkey. Do I have that right? Isn't that with the different rams coming up, and then the different areas are given? So let's see. Saudi is not Ishmael. The royals are not even Arabic, but most people didn't realize that. The people of Saudi are a tribe of Arabic, but not royals. They came into the area and took over later. Let's see. Most people don't look back. That's when censorship was rampant. An election was stolen. A mysterious pandemic with an already prepared genetic-based vaccine was prepared. No trumpets next. Doesn't Kushner have dual citizenship? Yeah, let's see. When studying the history of the region, I learned so many things. There are very few tribes of the original people that actually descended from Abraham and his descendants. Let's see. Yes, he does. Israeli and American. According to End Time Show, Qatar funds Kushner's business. And they said he was very close to Qatar and set up his peace deal. Apparently, they are giving them a Palestine state in the peace deal. Fury, I have studied them out carefully, and the listed recorded royal lineage of princes does go back thousands of years, independent of the false Muslim history. Qatar has their hands in a lot of businesses. That is true, as do most other countries, including our own. It isn't unusual for countries to invest in independent businesses all over the world. In fact, Russia has business interests all over the U.S., including a lot in our game, and a lot of other people don't even realize. And yes, Turkey. Yeah, I can't. It's been a little while since I've read that. That's the one piece that I do remember, is that in regards to the little horn, we should be looking for somebody from Turkey, most likely. Yeah. The only powerful interacting peoples entering into Arabia were the Nabateans, who were Ashkenaz of those who came in with the Medes, and the royals deny association. One thing certain, God knows. Yeah, indeed. Seems like we're going to start realizing these things. I'm guessing that probably our next big aha moment is probably going to come in the beginning of 2026. I would imagine if February is the opening of seal number 5, that would be the next revealing of information, because it seems like when the seals are opened, that's when the big reveal of information is downloaded. So maybe that's when we'll start to see who is persecuting the saints, because we know that the little horn, I think it's the little horn, speaks out against the saints of the Most High. and persecuting them. And then we know that, yeah, I mean, like, seal number 5. So you got 5, 6, and 7 that are left. So if seal number 5, so maybe seal number 5 is when it's going to reveal like the next things that are going to happen are going to take place. Just a matter of waiting. I was I learned today that, or not today, yesterday, I was watching Mike Wagner, I think is his name. He did a video on the 19,000 Christian churches which have been persecuted and destroyed in Africa. Have you guys heard about this? It's not something recent. It's something that's been happening over the last like 20 years. But it's just like, it goes to what I was saying yesterday, to where just because you're not suffering tribulation and persecution doesn't mean it's not happening in the world. I just kept thinking that, you know, to be over in that situation, you've got to be in the church of Smyrna. Like, I can't imagine that God really cares what they're teaching over there doctrine wise, as long as, you know, they're doing it in the face of persecution. That's got to be very hard. Very very admirable on their parts. But I've been trying to look for, and it's just like, it seems like the next thing that should be happening is an increase in persecution. You know, like, I'm kind of, I'm on the fence on the Trump administration. So, you know, should we expect like the snap apocalypse? That's the big news for today and yesterday is, you know, there's people that are making TikToks about literally robbing people if they don't get their SNAP benefits so that they can go get their candy bars and their soda. I mean, like, how stupid is that? You know, they're already planning riots, robberies, and, you know, other nefarious activities if they don't get their money to buy their candy bars and soda pop. You know, it's just like, but at the same time, it sounds like Donald Trump, which I was hoping to see a post on his Truth Social. I'll need to look into it a little bit further. But I think it was Tim Pool who reported that Donald Trump put out a statement saying that they're going to get it done, that they're going that the SNAP benefits they're going to figure out a way to fund them. So it remains to be seen if that happens. They're normally issued on November 1st, so we've got a couple of days. But the recommendation, and this is also coming from like BP Earthwatch, there's a lot of people who are, you know, they put themselves into the Watchmen category, who have been preaching doom and gloom for a long time, myself included. You know, in 2019 and 20, that's when I kind of freaked out and just went crazy on the preparations. And we ended up with, you know, massive stores of food that we never ended up using because the tribulation that I was expecting didn't happen. Well, it seems like we're going back into that cycle again, to where now we have this snap apocalypse, this EBT apocalypse, where people are preaching doom and gloom, and I'm really on the fence on if it's going to happen. You know, people I think are filtering it through the tribulation, saying surely we've got to be going into the tribulation. But with the way that Donald Trump is fixing problems, it seems like he's using the shutdown as a negotiation tactic with the Democrats. The Republicans absolutely refuse to give in on what the Democrats are demanding in order to reopen the government. They're demanding money to the tune of trillions of dollars, to fund illegal immigration, to fund transgender, you know, ideology and DEI, you know, doctrines and stuff like that. And it's funny because they're even on the USDA's website, it's got notes about, you know, the shutdown is because the Democrats continually vote to keep it shut down. So this is turning out very bad for the Democrats. So it seems strategic, but it makes me wonder if we're going to go through this, if something's not going to happen. There's a lot of people are saying that it would not take much to have another situation like the the toilet paper apocalypse, where people, there's a run on the stores, and it's just chaos and looting. There's a lot of people who are, I don't know, for lack of a better word, prophesying that there's going to be looting. And I don't know if it's going to happen. I'm really on the fence. Like, are we at that place right now? Because, Trump, from what I understand, Trump has said and again, this is not direct knowledge. This is just repeating what Tim Pool said, that Donald Trump is working on a solution and that they potentially have like a $6 billion emergency fund that they might be able to use for this. I could be wrong about that. But I don't, it's interesting. So it's kind of like, I feel like we're in this limbo right now to where we're waiting for something to happen. We don't really have any answers, and it's just a kind of a time of evaluation, if that makes sense. Okay, what else do you guys have in your comments? Didn't say in the Bible that Israel's land will not be divided up. I believe so. Like when Sony sold the EverQuest studio, first they sold it to an investment firm owned by Russia. Let's see, the studio not published Lord of the Rings. If the demand craps don't want to work. Oh, Democrats. Why can't they be fired? Yeah. Yeah, it seems very strategic to me. I'm very curious on when the persecution of the saints starts. It could be said that there's persecution of the saints of the Most High, depending on where you are in the world. Kind of my point with Africa. It makes me wonder if there's going to be a persecution of the saints in the United States, because there's limits here. There's a saying that there's a gun behind every blade of grass, and that's one of the reasons why the United States hasn't been invaded yet. I'm wondering if there's not going to be, so the snappocalypse is one of the things I'm kind of have my eye on, wondering if that's not going to be a thing. You should always be prepared for a snappocalypse. You should always have, flour, rice, oil, salt, kind of the basics, to where if you needed to ride out something like the EBT apocalypse, you could. So that's always good advice. I still think it's good advice to always be prepared to ride out anything for 3 months. It's not hard to do. Canned food lasts forever. It doesn't take that much flour, rice, oil, butter, those kind of things. It doesn't take storing that much in order to ride out, these different events. Get you through a growing season is the typical recommendation. Is you want to have enough to get you through a growing season of some kind. So they're using starvation as leverage. Yeah. Yeah, it seems that way. And it's another one of those systems that needs to be fixed. They've been putting Band-Aids on these systems for so many years. We all knew, I think the general consensus is we were wondering when they were going to break. They need to be fixed. And the funny thing is it's the EBT's not even really on the table as one of the negotiating items for why the government is shut down. My understanding is it's purely around the $2 trillion. I think it's $1 trillion. Could be billion. Anyway, it's around the ridiculous amount of money that they want to give to illegal aliens. That's my understanding for why they're keeping the government shut down, is they keep voting against that. Let's see. It is impossible to invade the center of the country. You can invade the coast and the borders, but you will never reach the center. You will be defeated before then. Agreed. Yeah. Yeah, it does concern me. Well, because we are promised. So the Church of Philadelphia has promised that they'll be kept from the trials coming on the whole world. So is that just the end of, is the Church of Philadelphia spread throughout the world? Are they primarily in the United States? I wonder about that. Like, so what's the expectation if you're considered in the Church of Philadelphia and you're kept from the trials coming on the whole world? What does that mean for you? Because I do believe, I'm of the opinion that the 7 churches are the template for literally what we should be doing during the end times. Like Zechariah 2 tells Zion to come out of the daughter of Babylon. Like, that's the process. There's this transitionary process of coming out of confusion. And you can see with what Elon Musk and Donald Trump are doing is they're standing in the gap. They're fighting lies and manipulation. And with this Grokpedia, that's going to go a long ways for establishing a point of truth for people to, work from. And there's this idea of coming out of confusion. There's this idea of a transition from one system of governance, the beast, to another system of governance. So there's so many things going on. Thank God these seals weren't all opened at the same time. It has to happen in stages, thankfully. Let's see. They are using starvation. It is impossible to. Yeah, okay. That 5th seal is going to be huge since Charlie Kirk and 7,000 Nigerians don't qualify. Marxist lawless dupes. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, let's move on to Elon Musk. Alrighty. Let's see. When Tolkien wrote about the hobbits, he was referring to the gentle folks. Oops. I forgot to hit my button here. So I'm trying to mark my videos to make it easier to clip them. All right, here we go. Now we're starting with Elon Musk. When Tolkien wrote about the hobbits, he was referring to the gentle folk of the English shires who don't realize the horrors that take place far away. They were able to live their lives in peace and tranquility, but only because they were protected by the hard men of Gondor. Huh. What happened to the nice man who was brutally murdered while walking his dog will happen to all of England if the tide of illegal immigration is not turned. It is time for the English to ally with the hard men, like Tommy Robinson, and fight for their survival, or they shall surely all die. Holy crap, Hola, that's an intense message. Rise up or die, UK. Wow. Whew. Powerful words. Yeah. When Tolkien wrote about the hobbits, he was referring to the gentle folk of the English shires who don't realize the horrors that take place far away. The parallels of that are anybody who's living in peace and safety, who's not suffering tribulation. Wise up quickly, prepare to defend yourself. Otherwise, they were able to live their lives in peace and tranquility, but only because they were protected by the hard men of Gondor. I love the analogy from Tolkien, Lord of the Rings. This is awesome. What happened to the nice man who was brutally murdered while walking his dog will happen to all of England if the tide of illegal immigration is not turned. It is time for the English to ally with the hard men like Tommy Robinson and fight for their survival, or they shall surely all die. That's pretty intense. Wow. A lot of positive feedback for Grokpedia so far, and people are loving it. I do love it. I had a similar idea to Grokpedia, which I don't need to do right now. I was building a website. It was called Settle It. And the idea is 2 people could present an argument with their supporting evidence and the data, and I was going to use Grok to settle the argument. So who made the more compelling argument, who had the more compelling data, and which one won. And then the argument would be declared. Well, they've implemented a similar system in Grokpedia from what I can tell. You can highlight a section and ask Grok to clarify or submit data for why it's wrong, and Grok will actually evaluate your data and make a decision on if your data is supportive enough supportive enough for it to change the information that you highlighted, which I think is very interesting because now you're relying on a non-emotional robot, artificial prediction engine, artificial intelligence, which I hate that word because it's not really intelligence yet. The artificial intelligence to actually approve, and it has a bias towards truth, so it's very critical, which is awesome. So Grokkopedia is very exciting. So I see it as a point of truth and something that is going a long way towards. It's like we're just on the outer fence of seeing the kingdom of God, right? It's like all these good things. It's just like we're finally going to get the answers that we wanted, and rather than trying to convince somebody, no, it's like this is going to go a long way to where, these narcissists who are so blinded by their bias on a particular subject. Now you're going to have a source of truth that has been evaluated by an artificial intelligence that hopefully will go a long way towards getting helping people get out of their blindness. And that goes for me too. Things that maybe I've refused to let go of. Something like Grokkopedia may actually help realize areas where I've been too stubborn and too ignorant to change my mind on. I'm very excited for it. I like being proven wrong. Everybody should like being proven wrong. That should be your objective. Our objective should be to burn away all the chaff so that the what remains is the truly pure gold of things, the gold truth, the golden oil, if you will. All right, please vote your Tesla shares. Let's see, just 5 minutes on Grokkopedia reveals that Wikipedia has been pushing far left talking points for years, and Grokkopedia is to the right of that towards the center. Wikipedia consistently demonizes prominent voices on the right within the first few sentences. Yeah. Conspiracy theorist Robert F. Kennedy. Yeah. Yeah. Kids today won't believe it, but there was a time when Wired published the most fascinating tech deep dives. Yeah, we read that yesterday. Just saw this in a conference room at Tesla Global Engineering Headquarters in Palo Alto. The future is autonomous. That's his. So he changed that to his profile picture. The future is autonomous. That might scare some people. That doesn't scare me. I am excited by the idea of the future being autonomous, because part of the curse of Adam and Eve is working the earth, and the sweat of your brow shalt thou work. I can't remember what it is. All the days of your life. You basically, if you don't eat, if you don't work. So there's this exciting concept to where, if the curse has finally been defeated, if death has been defeated, will we have that requirement to work for, will we be required to sweat in our brow in order to eat? That's kind of an exciting proposition. The future is autonomous. Yeah, I love it. Let's see. This is now officially the most badass police vehicle fleet in America. Each police Cybertruck is expected to save the Las Vegas PD $9,500 a year in fuel and maintenance costs alone. There are also the number one most American-made trucks. Funny thing is we had to go pick up our truck from the service center today. $2,000 in service on one of our trucks. We have yet to spend that much money on either of our Teslas. Once you have them, we've gotten lucky. There's a lot of, it's funny. It's hard to judge on like the true maintenance cost of a Tesla, because the only people that tend to rise to the surface are the ones who complain. And you do hear people complain about their Teslas. But our personal experiences, it's been a dream. We don't have to fill up gas. We don't have to change the oil. We haven't had to change the brakes. For all intents and purposes, they've been 100% reliable, with the exception of service recalls, which Tesla is taking care of. So can't recommend Teslas enough. All right. I am seeking asylum in the U.S. My name is Naomi Siebert. I am the first German applying for asylum under President Trump due to political persecution. As a free speech advocate and supporter of the AfD party, I am the target of intelligence surveillance, state media defamation, Antifa threats. Thanks to Elon Musk, I received a voice on X and was able to make the AfD party internationally popular. The German government is supporting left-wing violence, covering up migrant crimes and silencing dissidents with mass house raids. Yikes. The tax-funded propaganda media monopolize the narrative and defame the Trump administration, even Charlie Kirk constantly. As a representative for Germany's leading alternative media outlet, I vow to expose the truth. Only the AfD can save Germany. Thank you for your attention to this matter.
For their agenda. This year, I helped arrange their agenda execution in my home country. I am the first European to seek asylum in the United States of America under President Trump's new proposal for a refugee mandate, because I am facing persecution in my home country, Germany, for my political views, for my support for the AfD party, the only opposition party in Germany, and most importantly, for my advocacy for free speech. I have become the target of severe government and intelligence surveillance and harassment. My communications have been intercepted, and my family has been stalked by reporters for the state media for whom we pay taxes. And I continue to receive death threats from Antifa. When I asked the police for help in the past about these death threats, they did not offer me help because physical harm had not occurred yet. President Trump has correctly identified Antifa as a terrorist organization. But meanwhile, the German government silently condone these attacks on their own citizens, as if they are soldiers for their agenda. This year, I helped arrange the viral X live conversation between Elon Musk and AfD leader Alice Weidel, which I'm sure many of you have seen, as it drew international media coverage. While Europe is becoming a breeding ground for tyranny, America still treats the right to free speech as sacred, and thank God for that. In Germany, it is illegal under paragraph 188, which was extended under former Chancellor Angela Merkel, to insult or damage the reputation of a politician. I will not apologize for violating their legal special protection, because in a democracy, politicians must tolerate criticism. The reason why the German government and intelligence gained an interest in me is because I was the very first young English-speaking influencer to openly align with the AfD party, right-of-center political views, and most importantly, I supported President Trump since he came down the golden escalator in 2015 and announced that he was running for president. Trump's election victory was the crack in the matrix that terrified globalist tyrants. And now I am the bridge between Germany and the MAGA movement, which the European Union desperately wants to burn. You may remember me from 2020, when I appeared on Fox and on the front page of the Washington Post and became internationally recognized as the anti-Greta Thunberg, a climate skeptic. Now I am a representative for Deutschlandkurier, Germany's leading alternative media outlet, whose editor-in-chief, David Bendels, received a 7-month probation sentence earlier this year because he posted a meme mocking the Interior Minister's hatred of free speech. Quite ironic, if you ask me. This is why I started working with them, because I stand in solidarity with his admirable courage. I am publicly sharing my asylum request now, as President Trump has announced new refugee priorities, including Europeans who have been targeted for their peaceful expression of views online, such as opposition to mass migration and support for populist parties, according to the New York Times. But if you think I ran away cowardly and abandoned my homeland, you would be mistaken. This is only the beginning. I am seeking protection under the United States government to expose the truth about the tyranny of Germany and the European Union, who have made the MAGA administration their enemies. And I encourage everybody in Europe to stand up for what MAGA represents and turn it into MAGA. Let's fight, fight, fight.
Interesting. Well, I hope she gets her asylum request. Does the audio sound good on this? Because I'm noticing I have 2 audio sources for this browser. Is there a weird echo when that video was playing? Let me know in the comments. All right, let's see. Channel 10 AU just said Tesla has world's fastest car as a meteorite hits a Model Y in Australia. What? Andrew drives a Tesla, and that night he wasn't driving. The car was, and that night, 110 kilometer an hour down the freeway, and when the window exploded, the car drove on nice and steady. Tesla, the world's safest car in a meteor shower. What?
Or unlucky?
Well, obviously unlucky that it happened to us, but I guess very lucky that we happened to be, I guess, really in
If
the
I mute
safest
this,
car
does it make
on
it
the
sound
road.
better?
Andrew owns a Tesla, and that night he wasn't driving. The car was 110 k's an hour down the freeway, and when the window exploded, the car drove on, nice and steady. Tesla, the world's safest car in a meteor shower. And Andrew, you think that because the car was in this self-driving mode that it saved your life?
It certainly did, yeah, absolutely, yeah. Because there was a period there where we were incapacitated with all this flying glass and smoke and just in total shock. And it was a really, really violent explosion. But while we were incapacitated, the car was quite happy to keep going on. It was amazing. So, yeah. Thank you, Tesla.
Andrew.
Seems like it would recognize the sudden loss of one of its cameras and pull over. Glad he was safe. All right, Germany's under 60. Let's see, under 60s. Go AFD. Boomers still hold the line. AFD is now polling at 26%, ahead of the center-right party, CDU, 24.5%, and absolutely steamrolling. What does all this mean? Under 60s, let's see. Steamrolling the left party, who may need a GPS to find relevance. Under 60s, all in on AFD. From frustrated Gen Z to eye-rolling mid-career professionals, the message is clear. The old establishment's playlist is on skip. Even 18 to 29-year-olds are leaning AFD, edging out the CDU and nearly tying Die Link. Yes, the far. I don't know what any of this means. This is like a foreign language to me. One analyst put it best, a few years ago this was unthinkable. Now it's an unstoppable rise. Okay. I think I get it. The AFD's on the rise. Only AFD can save Germany. Is that like their version of the Republican Party? Let's see. Morgan Stanley's Adam Jonas is in new notes. We think the proposal for Tesla's investment in XAI deserves more attention. Among a range of possibilities, we believe the proposal may be a testing of the waters for further investment cooperation between Tesla and XAI down the road. Tesla's progress in robotics would benefit from XAI's progress in AGI data sharing between the two related parties. Let's see, bidirectional, may ultimately benefit from closer cooperation over time from a legal perspective. We reiterate our overweight rating on Tesla and note our bull case remains 800. Okay. Establishment party, we'd rather lose everything than talk to AFD. Mission accomplished. AFD is dominating polls in East Germany, 40% in Saxony-Anhalt, 38%. Okay. Let's see. Insist while the mainstream party waffles on how the AFD voters see clear. Not waiting around for an invitation to win. Okay. Okie doke. Let's see. New and amazing gesture. Newly elected Japanese Prime Minister Takeishi is donating 250 cherry trees for President Trump's Washington, D.C. beautification. Oh, that's sweet. I will extend a gift of 250 cherry trees to Washington, D.C. I also understand Japanese fireworks will be shown in D.C. on July 4th next year. The friendship will go down in history. Trump has a great bond with Japan. So many reviews have already poured in, and it's encouraging to see how much there was a need for something like Grokpedia. Grok integration and the ability to suggest if something is wrong is what gives Grokpedia a shot to become a fact machine. So if you find something wrong, instead of going to Outwired way of peddling trash, ask at Grok, suggest changes, and help us make this one true source of information. Yeah, that's what's super exciting to me about that too. As a side effect, it also helps you with your homework. It does. Yeah. Yep. Grokopedia, the future of knowledge. Yeah. Grok versus Wikipedia, the ivermectin truth test. Ooh, this will be good. Wikipedia treats ivermectin like toxic waste, framing everything through misinformation warnings. They even cite the FDA's "You're not a horse" tweet as if it's peer-reviewed science. Grokopedia actually explains the drug's Nobel Prize-winning history, legitimate medical uses, and why researchers tested it for COVID. Failed studies get mentioned alongside successful ones. No agenda, just facts. One site writes like reputation management for big pharma. The other writes like an encyclopedia should. Wikipedia turned from crowdsourced knowledge into crowdsourced propaganda. The difference shows why alternative platforms are winning. Huh. Cool. Super exciting. All right, here at Tesla, what is this?
To approve the 2025 CEO Performance Award, which would retain and incentivize Elon to lead Tesla to astonishing new.
Vanguard, BlackRock. Let's see. Here at Tesla, its current largest shareholders, excluding Elon, and how they voted in last year's ratification of Elon's 2018 package. 44444. Unlike last year's ratification vote, Elon and Kimball Musk can both participate in this year's 2025. It'll be interesting to see how they vote this year.
Company with a very ambitious CEO who actually is motivated by audacious goals. And so from our perspective, it is bringing to life the Master Plan 4 that we put out earlier in September that actually outlines the decade of growth that we see ahead of us as a company. And what this Pay for Performance CEO Award does is actually outline some of the ambition in terms of operational milestones that we see the company delivering over this next period of time. And that Elon, as our leader, actually is motivated to actually deliver. The way we've structured this plan is very deliberate. Again, taking in that advice from outside experts in terms of compensation, but also from a governance perspective and a legal perspective. The pay for performance construct that we have has actually bifurcated the voting rights, which are awarded as the milestones are hit, and the economic benefits, which are sometime down the path, 7.5 and 10 years down the path of the actual award. And so for us and for shareholders, you get the best of both worlds. You get that retention for Elon over a longer period of time, and you get wildly ambitious plans that are met over time that enables him to actually secure some voting influence at the time he earns them.
We did embark upon a 7-month process, combined with using legal advisors, compensation advisors, because we agreed that we would have principles at the outset. We agreed that it would be a pay-for-performance plan, not a pay-for-promise. We also agreed that we would always have the shareholders' interest at heart, and that any plan that we designed would have an alignment, a direct alignment between Elon and the ultimate shareholders. We speak of Elon as a transformational leader, but we should also consider that we believe he's the right leader at the right time for many other reasons, including the fact that he's a talent magnet. We know that this new era of technology is going to require the best and brightest minds for AI and engineers and across our functions as well. And we rely upon Elon. Many people come to Tesla specifically to work with Elon. So we recognize that retaining and incentivizing him will in the long run help us retain and recruit better talent and retain that talent to deliver ultimate performance. All this led us to determine that it is imperative for Tesla to take action now to retain and incentivize Elon to pursue the milestones that will usher in the transformational shareholder growth contemplated by the 2025 Performance Award.
We're speaking with you today because we need your help. The future of Tesla is in your hands. Please make your voice and your vote heard.
Yeah, if you got Tesla shares, make sure to vote. See, this is still my favorite Elon Musk post of all time. I sort of wish he would have been arrested, though. The mugshot would have been legendary. What does it say? Shoot. I forgot you can't view the images on this one. See, Tesla is restarting production today against Alameda County rules. I will be on the line with everyone else. If anyone is arrested, I ask that it only be me. Aw. That is pretty good. Let's see. Enough is enough. Absolutely horrific call. A London woman calls in and cries her eyes out in desperation. We're not racist. We're petrified. What are these politicians doing to us? They're putting everyone in danger. I don't leave the house without a man. My local shop has had 3 stabbings, 1 murder. My friend was murdered last year. A girl I know was murdered in the park. I'm begging my son to leave the country. My cousin was murdered. Our friends and our family are dying. See, this is tribulation right here.
Failing us. I live in the borough right next to Hillingdon.
Yep.
And I moved into my house in 2019. My local shop, there's been 3 stabbings, 1 murder since then.
Wow.
My friend was murdered last year up on the high street. Girl I know was murdered in Southall Park. The government are failing us. I'm so scared for my children. I have a 22-year-old son, and I'm begging him to move out of the country.
Oh my goodness, I feel for you.
What are these politicians doing to us? They're putting our children in so much danger. They're putting everyone in danger, and they're not doing nothing to help us.
And that's the thing a lot of us feel. How many is too many?
I wonder if this is persecution of the saints.
They're pushing us to do something that we don't want to do. We are peaceful people.
I mean, obviously it is.
Never a vote.
It's persecution, that's for sure, and tribulation.
They're going to push us through it because they're not listening to us. Our friends, our family are dying. I had a cousin murdered 20 years ago who was stabbed to death, and nothing's changed, Julia.
I'm so sorry, Sarah. I'm sure I speak for everyone listening and watching right now. My heart goes out to you, and that's the reality.
I don't leave the house without a man.
You're that worried.
Well, everyone I know is getting stabbed. They're getting raped in parks.
Wow, that's got to be really hard.
Where I live, not where the
on a talk show.
Live.
Do you think that's part of the issue that they don't?
So this
live
is
in the
from
real
London.
Keir Starmer, if you're listening to this, please do something.
Keir Starmer keeps coming up.
I've never broken the law in my life. I've been a law-abiding citizen. I've been a civil servant. Please do something. It's us that are dying on the streets. You talk about being racist. We're not racist. My sister's mixed race. Yeah. I was a white child brought up in a mixed race family. Nothing to do with race.
Exactly.
To do with our safety.
Sarah, I mean, 100%. We agree with you every single.
That's heartbreaking. He keeps posting this stuff from London. I wonder if he's pointing out, yeah, I mean, there's definitely persecution and tribulation going on over there. Keir Starmer keeps coming up as a name as well. Okay. Tesla's mission written inside the Tesla Diner, accelerating the world's transition to sustainable abundance. Oh, nice. Jesus said, I am come that they may have life and have it more abundantly. He's doing the Lord's work. See, Neuralink not only is a way to help people, but once a certified proven product, it will start to become a consumer accessory that will allow us to directly connect to everything. Cars, robots, augmentation, instant knowledge, 24-hour health monitoring. It will revolutionize humanity and our trajectory. Oh, I can see the religious people going off on that. I don't think I'd ever have it installed in my brain. Not as long as there's 1,000 electrodes that got to go into your brain. If there's something that I could just put on the outside of my head, that'd be cool. See, I walk my dog a couple times a month, couple times a day in London. Millions do. Should we expect that being randomly stabbed to death by an Afghan who broke into the country is just normal part of living now? F that, declare a national emergency and deport these threats. Yep. Let's see. If you're in academia or an engineer trying to find information and you often end up on Wikipedia, you should definitely switch to Grokpedia. Grokpedia offers information that is corrected and fact-checked by AI using a first principles physics perspective. Comes with the highest accuracy. On the other hand, Wikipedia is written by humans and often carries inaccuracies and imprecise information. Very good. Let's see. Breaking. Elon Musk's Starlink just made the service free to Jamaica and the Bahamas as Category 5 Hurricane Melissa makes landfall through the end of November. Elon is the best. Very nice. Elon Musk poured his heart and soul into Tesla. He was even willing to get arrested rather than let production stop. Oh, repost. Here's the original post that was on that cup. Tesla is restarting production today against Alameda County rules. I will be on the line with everyone else. If anyone is arrested, I ask that it only be me. There you go. People are exploiting our generosity, taking advantage of our kindness. This man, granted asylum in Britain, has been arrested on suspicion of murdering an innocent person and violently attacking a child. Yikes. We must stop pretending that everyone who claims asylum is a good person. Agreed. Wow. From Gigafactory Shanghai to Megafactory Shanghai, the supercharger sites to Tesla centers, we are now using rooftop solar panels to generate electricity. Together, they are expected to reduce more than 7,270 tons of CO2 annually. Let's see, the Starlink team has enabled, breaking Grok app downloads are surging. We already read about this one. This was a post he pinned. Oh, this one has a video. Yikes. I don't think I can actually show that video on YouTube. The flames of justice are calling to the people, have been lit, and will burn brighter every day. You can smell the anger across the UK tonight. Decent people have had enough. I am increasingly confident that this idea could work. Elon Musk came up with a pretty incredible idea during the Q3 earnings call that no one is really talking about. His words, actually, one of the things I thought, if we've got all these cars that maybe are bored, well, they're sort of, if they're bored, let's see, what does this say? Is this a video or? If they're bored, we could actually have a giant distributed inference fleet and say, if they're not actively driving, let's just have a giant distributed inference fleet at some point. If you've got tens of millions of cars in that fleet, or maybe at some point 100 million cars in the fleet, and let's say they had, at that point, I don't know, a kilowatt of inference capability, of high performance inference capability, that's 100 gigawatts of inference distributed with power and cooling taken, with cooling and power conversion taken care of. That seems like a pretty significant asset. So basically, each car has 1 kilowatt of high performance AI inference capability. Tesla wouldn't need to build giant data centers. The fleet is the data center. Tesla could turn their entire fleet into a giant distributed inference network spread across the world, powered by the batteries and AI in the car already. Mind blown. Yeah. I thought that was the idea from the very beginning, that the cars were providing all the training data and processing. Civil war in Britain is inevitable. Just a question of when. Yeah. Know when to hold 'em. Earnings calls. Elon is right. If tolerance means the end of Western civilization, then we cannot be tolerant. Agreed. Yes, indeedy. Let's see. This is a 44% expansion versus Tesla's previous geofence, and it brings Tesla's total Austin robotaxi service area to 243 square miles, 3.7 times larger than Waymo's. Waymo still operates a robotaxi fleet in Austin that's about 3 to 4 times larger, though. Cool. San Francisco attorney Scott Grant is arguing that a man with 73 felonies, including killing 2 women, should be released without prison tomorrow. Yikes. This is the disdain SF.gov has for the citizens and any official silent about it, including new mayor Danielle Lurie, is complicit. SpaceX is now launching roughly the same number of satellites in a year as the number of operational non-SpaceX satellites in orbit. Yep. Let's see. Tesla did this in about 4 months. Tesla's autonomous driving might spread faster than any technology ever. The hardware foundations have been laid for such a long time that a software update enables self-driving for millions of pre-existing cars in a short period of time. Yeah. Tesla Model Y robotaxi service now available in the greater area. Grokpedia versus Wikipedia on Charlie Kirk. We all knew Wikipedia sucked, but this hits a nerve. Grokpedia is the obvious choice. Yeah. Wikipedia conservatives say the Twitter files show what they call liberal bias. Grokpedia, here's what the Twitter files found, specifically the mechanism for algorithm demotion, how it was applied, and you can click to read them in detail. The spin in Wikipedia is insane. Grokpedia is so much more clear and unbiased. I knew Wikipedia was biased, but this is pretty insane. Okay. Let's see. I just read the Grokpedia entry of yours truly. Okay, we read this. I think we read that yesterday. Yep. All right. Well, that was a lot to get through. I see you guys have been having a robust conversation in chat. Let me see if I can even begin to grok what you guys are saying. Let's see. When Michael stands up and war begins in heaven, the command to restore the heavenly Jerusalem in you has gone forth. The first seal has been opened. They have been there for several generations. Cousins, they are Jewish, practicing as well as blood. Let's see. Well, then the persecution of the saints ended because the faithful, Bart. Let's see. The White House rider is Michael. The white horse rider is Michael. The red horse rider is Michael's angels, who have been given the iron rod, the control, the beast, and make war with the dragon and his angels, who look to deceive. Let's see. Jesus is the faithful and true witness. He's the white rider. Persecution of the saints is okay. I'm afraid that most of the USA are turning a blind eye to all of it and thinking it can't happen here. Flesh deceit. Okay, I have no idea what you're saying. 420 elders. It sounds like you're trying to give us information on the seals and what you think they are. For which cause? Hey, if you've got information you want to present, send it to twowitnesseslive@gmail.com. I'll review it. I don't know if I can catch the full context of what you've been saying in the chat. But if you've got evidence that you want to present, if you haven't watched our videos on the timeline, I suggest that you watch the videos on the timeline. I present a lot of evidence, a lot of fact-based evidence for why I believe what I believe and where we are in the timeline. But if you have any information you want me to consider and to potentially add to that timeline, by all means, please feel free to send it to twowitnesseslive@gmail.com, and I'll have a look at it. You can also join our Discord server, which I've been trying to. We've got that set up. We don't really use it a whole lot right now. There should be a link in the description. You can join that if you want to chat. Maybe I'll hop in there. Maybe I won't. Pretty busy throughout the day, so no promises. But if you hop on there, you might be able to catch me and we can talk offline. Angels don't live in the flesh; they live in the spirit. I don't believe angels have the ability to lie. They give up their free will and choose to do God's will. We can't either. Watchful, but he sounds a bit confused. We'll do watchful. Yeah. I mean, send me information. I'm willing to consider anything. You know, even Joe, who comes in our chat on a regular basis, and he thinks that his mother is the woman from Revelation 12, and he thinks that he might be the man child. It's like, I don't think the right way to handle those things is to say you're absolutely crazy because you don't agree with me. I think the better way to do it is to walk through what it is that you're presenting and see if it fits and see where it doesn't fit, because that's the only way you're really going to convince anybody of what it is that you're saying, is to walk it through. And if you can't convince somebody else of what it is that you're saying, you need to continually refine what it is that you're saying. And I think that's the right way to handle, presenting information, is try and communicate it in a way that convinces somebody else. Lord knows that's what I'm trying to do. And Lord knows I'm not perfect at it. I'm all over the place on a regular basis. My mind is constantly firing on possibilities, trying to block down something that sounds legitimate. You know what I mean? But I have a ton of data. I've been working on this timeline here for 8 years, 10 years, and I was working on this in 2000. I just wasn't able to nail things down until stuff started happening in 2017. But I was looking at blood moons and events happening on the earth at the same time as eclipses. That was one of the things that led to me leaving the cult that I was in. So yeah, if you got information, by all means, send it to me. Even it doesn't matter how crazy it sounds, because I realize how crazy my stuff sounds sometimes. And I think the best thing you can do is actually consider what people are saying honestly, and consider it, even if it sounds crazy, until you've invalidated it as something that just simply can't be true. But I think we all need to be honest with ourselves, to where if you cannot validate the information as true, then you need to continually go back to the drawing board, so to speak, to figure out where you might be wrong. We've got to be honest with ourselves on what it is that we say and what it is that we believe. Otherwise, you present to somebody who's either crazy or lying. So that makes sense. All right, 1 Thessalonians 4, for the Lord himself shall descend from heaven with a shout, with the voice of the archangel, and with the trump of God, and the dead in Christ shall rise first. The voice of the archangel is not the same as the voice of Jesus. Agreed. Michael certainly has all authority over all angels, all Israel, i.e. believers. However, show me in the Logos that verifies Michael is not a created being, messenger. Just saying, I'm open always. That doesn't mean Jesus is Michael. Yeah, I've never gotten the sense that Jesus is Michael, if that's what you're saying. You'd have to show me some compelling evidence to get me to believe that. Yeah, so as far as I'm concerned, Michael, Gabriel, Azrael, Semyaza, all the different angels that have been named in the different scriptures and Apocrypha, they're not Jesus. The only I would make the argument, though, that Zerubbabel, that Jesus is a type or an example of Zerubbabel, who's not an angel per se, but that is an example. So if you're trying to compare like the spirit of something, like John the Baptist had the spirit of Elijah on him from birth, which I don't know if that's legitimately the spirit of Elijah. Like when Elijah died, his spirit, was able to be placed on John the Baptist. I don't know exactly what that means, or if it simply means that John was a person similar to Elijah in the way that he thinked or thought, and the way that he behaved himself and thought, which led him to perform the actions that he did that paved the way for Yeshua. Same thing with Zerubbabel. There's a prophecy about Zerubbabel in Zechariah 4, which sounds to me a lot like Jesus, like Yeshua, because it said in Zechariah 4 that he lays the foundation of the temple, and his hands also put the capstone on it, and that it's not by power or might, but by spirits, which sounds exactly like what's been happening for the last 2,000 years. Jesus gave his life. He was the temple of God. God dwelled within him. And when he died, he laid that foundation, that very first stone in building that temple. So I believe that there can be parallels between like Jesus and Zerubbabel, but you'd be hard pressed to make a case. But I think you could try to make a similar parallel with like Michael or Gabriel or Semyaza. I think those are separate entities. If that makes sense. Let's see. The Revelations say the 7 spirits of God, and there are 7 archangels. Princes were archangels who were given areas to protect throughout the earth, according to the book of Daniel. Michael is the sword. Let's see. Michael is the sword, the angel of truth, the spirit of truth. Jesus was the man that embodied the spirit of truth. Okay. Alrighty. Well, do you guys have anything else, any questions for me that you wanted me to get into? It sounds like you guys are just kind of having your own conversations in the chat. You have anything you wanted to talk about before we go? I did have something else I wanted to share. Let me go see if I can find it. Oh, it was about quantum computers. Yeah, you guys might like this. You know, I keep bringing up this idea of quantum entanglement, and a couple days ago I mentioned that I saw the first breakthrough that actually got my attention when it comes to quantum entanglement. Well, Wang Jensen, from the CEO of NVIDIA, recently did a convention where they were releasing a bunch of information on computing. I thought you guys might like this. Let me see. YouTube.
Let's talk about quantum computing. 1981, particle physicist, quantum physicist Richard Feynman imagined a new type of computer that can simulate nature directly. To simulate nature directly, because nature is quantum. He called it a quantum computer. 40 years later, the industry has made a fundamental breakthrough. 40 years later, just last year, a fundamental breakthrough. It is now possible to make one logical qubit. One logical qubit. One logical qubit that's coherent, stable, and error-corrected. In the past, now that one logical qubit could be sometimes tens, sometimes hundreds of physical qubits, all working together. As you know, qubits, these particles are incredibly fragile. They could be unstable very easily. Any observation, any sampling of it, any environmental condition causes it to become decoherent.
And this was one of the reasons why I've held my position that we have not had the breakthrough that we needed in quantum computing to justify the scary things that people have been saying about it with their fear over, encryption breaking and stuff like that, because we hadn't gotten to a point, and there have been lots of liars and deceivers who were claiming that they had achieved quantum stability, and they hadn't. I mean, Google had to retract a paper because a lot of the information was false. So this is the first time. This is actually, I heard Wong here, Jensen, make this speech after I had heard another researcher who was talking about Google's Willow actually gotten to a point where it could solve a problem. Because the theoretical capability is amazing, but it's not the scary technology that people are fear-mongering about. It's definitely a very interesting and very capable of technology if we can nail it down. But it's only for certain types of problems. I know Glenn Beck did a show about like how it's reaching into multiple dimensions to get information. I don't know if that's necessarily true. It may be. I think that might be an over exaggeration. What seems to me a more likely explanation for how it's really working is you can understand the limitations of traditional computing, that it works on an on-off system. You have a series of switches that are either on or off, And when you have that at scale of like billions and trillions of on-off switches, that's how computing takes place now. It's 0 or 1. It's called binary. Quantum computing is the first. Well, it's not the first. It's one of the It's one of the technologies we're working on to get away from just the zeros and ones, so that we can actually calculate faster. But there's just been a ton of problems with quantum computing, and it's not suited necessarily for solving the same problems that like the computer on your desk is geared towards solving. But they've made some really interesting advancements that I think are worth paying attention to, because I think this goes a long way for, the scripture talks about divine knowledge filling the earth like the seas. We're getting there with things like Grokpedia and, these technology breakthroughs. It's interesting that this is happening now.
And so it takes extraordinarily well-controlled environments, and now also a lot of different physical qubits for them to work together, and for us to do error correction on these, what are called auxiliary or syndrome qubits, for us to error correct them and infer what that logical qubit state is. There are all kinds of different types of quantum computers: superconducting, photonic, trapped ion, stable.
The photonic ones are really interesting. I don't know if you've heard about these. They're CPUs that actually use light and light diodes rather than transistors for on-off switches. Some really interesting capabilities with those two. Computers are about to take a new leap in capabilities. It's just going to be mind-boggling.
Atom, all kinds of different ways to create a quantum computer. Well, we now realize that it's essential for us to connect a quantum computer directly to a GPU supercomputer so that we could do the error correction, so that we could do the artificial intelligence calibration and control of the quantum computer, and so that we could do simulations collectively, working together, the right algorithms running on the GPUs, the right algorithms running on the QPUs, and the two processors, the two computers working side by side. This is the future of quantum computing. Let's take a look.
There are many ways to build a quantum computer. Each uses qubits, quantum bits, as its core building block. But no matter the method, all qubits.
So one of the reasons I wanted to show you guys this is because it's a really good illustration on the difference between a qubit and a bit. So this is a really good simplified example. You'll notice, so an on-off switch just has two positions. These qubits have multiple positions, meaning, so, can you imagine not being limited to 0 and 1 anymore, but having, 0 and 100 different positions? That's really what we're talking about, the leap in capability. But the way they've been going about it has been super unstable. Like, they can't even keep the bloody things alive. Like, they just, and even in this presentation, he talks about them. Once you've used them and gotten the power out of them, that you lose the qubits, which implies that they may have to go through processors the way we go through batteries. So there's definitely limitations on the technology, but still, this is really interesting, and they do a good job explaining quantum calculations and stuff.
Whether superconducting qubits, trapped ions, neutral atoms, or photons, share the same challenge. They're fragile and extremely sensitive to noise. Today's qubits remain stable for only a few hundred operations, but solving meaningful problems requires trillions of operations. The answer is quantum error correction. Measuring disturbs a qubit, which destroys the information inside it. The trick is to add extra qubits, entangle, so that measuring them gives us enough information to calculate where errors occurred without damaging the qubits we care about. It's brilliant, but needs beyond state-of-the-art conventional compute. That's why we built NVQLink, a new interconnect architecture that directly connects quantum processors with NVIDIA GPUs. Quantum error correction requires reading out information from qubits, calculating where errors occur, and sending data back to correct them. MVQ Link is capable of moving terabytes of data to and from quantum hardware, the thousands of times every second needed for quantum error correction. At its heart is CUDA-Q, our open platform for quantum GPU computing.
All right. The most of this is just a sales pitch introducing a lot of the hardware that they have available now. The whole point is they have gotten to a point where they have solved some of, not all of, the problems with quantum computing. So these computers are about to take, which it's interesting, which in conjunction with AI that this is happening, are potentially on a precipice of a pretty big leap, which, the next step, once you start to solve these problems, is to reduce the size, because right now these things fill up entire buildings. To reduce the size down to where you've got quantum computing capable in your phone. When we get to that point, I think we'll probably have knowledge covering the earth like the sea. So haven't been caught everything that's been going on in the chat here, but I did see 420 elders talking about going from channel to channel, witnessing. One thing I'll say about that is if you just come into a channel and dive bomb it with information, nobody listens to you. If you think that you're giving a testimony or witnessing, that's not the way to do it. The hardest thing about communication is knowing if it happened. To be a true witness involves empathy. You have to be empathetic, which means that you need to get people's attention and you need to bring them to a point of understanding if you want to be a true witness. This is one of the issues that I see that a lot of people have when they come into channels and they just dive bomb with information and they think they're actually changing hearts and minds. That happens on so many channels, and including on ours. And I've been victim of this too, where I'll go in and I'll just start dumping, pages of scriptures thinking that somebody is reading what I'm saying and proving a point, when people, a lot of times you just get shadow banned and that stuff gets removed from chat and nobody sees it except for the Google and YouTube bots. But if you truly want to be a witness, you have got to get somebody's attention and you've got to bring them along your line of reasoning in order to bring them to a greater understanding. And it involves empathy. Most often that is done in person or, in a presentation type of way. If you've got a channel, let us know. If you've got information to present that we can consider and think about, then that's great. Let us know. But if your technique is just to go to channels and irritate people until they block you, I'm not sure what kind of a witness you're under the impression you might be. But that's not a good testimony of spreading the gospel. You want to reach people by bringing them to where you are in your understanding. Does that make sense? So if you got any videos that you want us to show or consider, let me know. You guys got anything else you want to talk about before we go? I just wanted to show you that video on quantum computers, just kind of put that out there that even Google, so Google reported that they were able to perform their first calculation with their Willow CPU, validated calculation. That's not to say that it's not without problems. Like Jensen was saying, the qubits currently are only good for a couple of hundred calculations, and they need to get to a position where they can use them for trillions of calculations, similar to your CPU in your computer. He does. He told us his channel. Okay, cool. Yeah, let me know your channel. I'll watch it. Where is it? Is it? Yeah, that's the thing. I used to be like that too. 420 elders. I mean, they used to. I used to do witnessing in person a lot, to thousands and thousands of people. It was part of the church that I was a part of. They had these programs where they would send us out, and we'd just go witness to people for 6 months to a year. And it used to be said that I was so loud that when I would go in and witness to somebody, I was witnessing to the entire store. Just because I would go in and just as loud and robust as I could spread the gospel. And we didn't win very many hearts and minds doing that. We got kicked out of places is what ended up happening. And that's a good example of doing the same thing in chat. If you're just going to go in and be boisterous, people are just going to see you as a troublemaker and not want to listen. Let's see. I have no idea the context of what you're referring to. Yeah. Well, yeah, and I appreciate that, Fury. And that's what I do too. Is I'll let people come in and say their piece, as long as they're respectful. Yep. Yeah, what's your channel? I'm not finding your channel in here. Oh, Frank, I know you. You have a channel now? Do you have a channel now? That's your channel, Frank. It's your name. I didn't realize you had a channel. I'll check it out. I'll come bombard your chat. I'm just kidding. No, that's cool. I didn't realize you had started a channel, Frank. That's cool. I'll check it out when I get a chance. I can only watch a handful of videos during a day because I'm working so much now. But I'll check it out, and if it's catches my attention, I'll stick around and listen. Thanks for letting me know. Cool. You guys have anything else? It's about that time. We're about that 2-hour mark. An hour and 50 minutes. Let me go see if I can find your channel. I'm really, really surprised at this Jensen from NVIDIA. Kip had come on the show and we had talked about NVIDIA and the possibility of it being, not that great of a company. But after his letter about Israel, man, I've just really been changing my opinion about him. Pleasantly surprised at Jensen. Let's see, Frank. Oh yeah, there you go. There you are. Check you out. You got a ton of subscribers. Got to work on your thumbnails, man. Let's see, Revelation of the Harvest, Revelation of the Woman Breakdown, Revelation 22. Dude, you've been busy. Yeah, you got to work on your thumbnails. They're all the same. Thumbnails are the key to getting clicks. Of course, look at me telling you, you've got 68,000 subscribers and only 25 videos. Interesting. Huh. I'll check them out, man. Thanks for letting me know. 4 and 20 Elders Ministries. Did you start a ministry too? Cool. Alrighty. Well. Cool. Apocalypse Tech has a channel called Apocalypse Tech. He makes some of the most entertaining prophetic videos, often putting in movie clips to make them far more entertaining than I am on my show. I don't have the skill to do that, to look up all the clips and interject them in parts like that. Yeah. Well, cool. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining. Appreciate you guys being here. Some exciting times. Even if whether you agree with me or not, I think we're all in agreement that we are in the end times. Let's see, 420, do you know those two witnesses were fulfilled the 1,260 days, 3.5 days, 3,500 years since Passover. They've been in sackcloth. Blind eyes, deaf ears. Who is that? Untouchable? Who's Untouchable? You got some crazy font going on there, dude. What you know about the Trinity, God, Jesus, Holy Spirit, and Jesus is still on the throne. God reigns. One throne is empty. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. My understanding is YouTube has backed off a lot on the censorship with certain things. Like a lot of people were saying unalive instead of suicide because they were under the impression that YouTube was removing their videos for saying suicide. From what I understand is that was either a very short thing or it was a myth. So there's a lot of things like that, but there's definitely guidelines that you have to stay within. You can't endorse violence in any way. You can't show. There's a list of stuff, but it's kind of common sense stuff. One of the ones that I disagree with is you can't promote the healthcare items is kind of you can say vaccine. Now, I haven't had any issues with saying vaccine in a while. That was definitely getting you marked and banned in ways during COVID for the couple of years there, but they've stopped doing that. They've even been unbanning channels that they had previously banned for that kind of stuff. I think the Trump administration has helped with a lot of that. But yeah, I get what you're getting at with the videos. I find them entertaining. I realize you were doing it to stay within community standards. But yeah, it's a lot easier to stay within those standards now, I think, than it was in the past. You're not tech savvy. Are you talking about your thumbnails? Just use ChatGPT or Grok to generate your thumbnails. It helps differentiate the videos. And if you're looking to get, clicks and attention, it also helps people to identify the video to click on it. But I don't know why I'm telling you that. You've got more subscribers than I do. How old is your channel? Have you been building those subscribers for a while, or have you just done that in 5 months? I'm tech savvy. I work with technology all day long, far too many hours. And I tend to stay up on the new cutting edge things and have pretty well developed opinions on technology. I think you can say the 2020 election was stolen now. I don't think that they're marking you for that. But I find it entertaining. I think it's cute that you do those kind of things, Steve, with the putting in the imagery. It's pretty cute. Alrighty, well, we're at the 2-hour mark, guys. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm gonna go look at some of these videos from Frank while I go spend some time with the family, and we gotta go do some horse stuff. I think we gotta go get horses ridden for the night. Thank you guys for joining me. God